Hey everyone, welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the New Republic E-Wing versus Shin Hati's Jedi Starfighter. It's going to be an interesting one with a double starship, another one this year, which is super awesome, so let's get started. First, taking a look at the box, and I must say this box is incredibly long. It's almost obnoxiously long. It is set 75364, New Republic E-Wing versus Shin Hati Starfighter, which is quite the mouthful of a name. With 1,056 pieces, ages 9+, and retails for about $100. Front of the box is nice, shows both ships as well as the minifigures. And then the back of the box shows all of the play features and some of the minifigures on the ground. Before we get into the ships though, I do want to give you guys a look at the minifigures, so we'll take a look at those first.
Taking a look first at the minifigures, we'll start with the bad guys. This one is Morgan Elsbeth, and she's like a descendant of a Night Sister. I think that her face and hairpiece, specifically her hairpiece, is really very, very cool. Here is it in more detail on the back. Overall though, she's a relatively plain minifigure compared to the rest of the selection that we get, with printing on the torso that does look nice, but no printing on the skirt, and I think that that is unacceptable for this time period in LEGO. We really should have printing, even if it's minimal, even if it's just to show wrinkling, because it looks so off from such a detailed torso onto an absolutely plain black skirt. It just doesn't look good. The transition for me just isn't there. Even if they could just print wrinkle lines on it, I personally would prefer that. And then of course this is her secondary face, which is super angry. Up next is Baylan Skoll with his red lightsaber, and I personally think he looks awesome. The character in the show so far is really neat. I definitely would actually like to learn more about his backstory. I actually didn't realize that his uniform was green. There are green lines on the torso there, and then he has printing on the legs for kind of his like robe skirt. Looks really good. I think the facial hair and the hairpiece look fantastic. He has some dark metallic gray arms and printing on the back of that torso as well. And here is that secondary face, and I think that LEGO knocked it out of the park with this one. And then last of the bad guys, we have Shin Hati, the driver of the starship, and her red lightsaber. She's really cool. She is the apprentice of Baylan Skoll, and I think she looks really cool. Super interesting that a non-Jedi has a Padawan braid, and I think she looks okay. The hairpiece is okay. It really, she's not supposed to have those like pulled back hairs where her ears should be, so it's actually a little bit off, but I think the printing on her torso and legs looks really good. It blends together well, and there's the back, which here is her angry face, and I like those cheek lines. Next up, we have Captain Porter, and I think he looks awesome. He is a New Republic pilot with that white and blue that matches his ship, and a dark blue helmet with yellow printing. And I think that the elements on the sides of his helmet, hopefully you can see that they're 3D, I think those are new elements. So I think that makes this a new helmet. I'm not 100% sure, but like I just simply don't remember this on the old helmets, just off, right off the top of my head here. But here is the detailing on the helmet. There is the back. And he, of course, has a double-sided face. They give us hair for his second face, and they just didn't have to do that, and they did, and I think it looks so good. It actually almost makes me want to display him without his helmet, because I love how complete of a character he looks with hair. I think it looks awesome, but he is too cool, of course, not to display with his helmet off. And finally, this one is just titled New Republic Astromech Droid, and it is blue and yellow, which is just a crazy color. Some people are calling him the IKEA Astromech, and his eye camera is actually a little bit different than the older Astromech droids. There's something along the front of his dome that definitely looks different, so I believe it that he's a New Republic Astromech droid. Of course, the printing on the body is just the same as any other Astromech droid, and for some reason, we did not get back printing, which is just really frustrating because we got back printing with Chopper, but the front printing looks good. Yeah, and that dome printing is really, really even. That's actually the most even dome I think that I've ever had, so maybe they fixed the problem. I don't know.
All right, so with this set, just my first initial thoughts, and this was the same thing that I thought with the Fang Fighter set as well, with the TIE Interceptor versus the Mandalorian Fang Fighter, whatever it was. is that one ship is like fully built and the other one, they kind of cut corners on to fit 2 in a box and it not be crazy expensive. So in this set, I do find that Shin Hati's Starfighter is a lot more lacking than the Republic or the New Republic E-Wing. But let's go ahead and start with the E-Wing first because it's first in the title. Right, so I will say just first impressions, I really kind of like the ship. It's like a more simplified X-Wing kind of. So we have, you know, the foils, but they're just kind of bent downward. It's really unique. It's actually quite cool. There is some articulation in the wings as well, which I like. I think that the back of the engines look really nice with the little pink. And then there's some other detailing there. Now there are stickers kind of all over this set. The cockpit thankfully is printed, but we do have stickers on the sides here. And then you can see the front of the engines. We do have stud shooters on the sides, but I did not put studs in them. We have a section for our astromech droid to go, which is nice. And then kind of the back of the E-Wing, just, I don't know, something about it reminds me of the X-Wing Starfighter. We do have a cockpit with a control panel and everything, which I'll go into that in a little bit more detail here in a moment. But then we have the front of the ship with some more stickering. And then we have landing gear on the bottom, which is really cool. They fold up nice. I really like how sturdy this landing gear is. I enjoy it quite a bit. So just diving a little bit deeper into some of these features, the first thing that I really like on this cockpit is when you open the cockpit, there is a little section that you can remove underneath the pilot seat. That is storage for, you can add his hair and his pistol. But I am going to say, disclaimer, I don't recommend using this and filling it up like I did because I almost could not get this thing out. It is relatively tightly tensioned in there, and while I was recording this video, I started struggling super hard to get this out. I could not. I had to take apart some of the ship so that I could release it, and so maybe not the best option to store a whole bunch of stuff. I know you can store the gun. I tried to store the hair. It didn't really fit, so just disclaimer, you know, it's not the best storage solution for like a ton of stuff, but it can store, and I really do like that aspect. And again, I really like the way that the landing gear folds up and it looks nice inside the ship. And then again, the articulation on the wings looks really cool. You can have them just kind of in more of a flight mode or more of like an attack defensive versus maybe like an evasive maneuver. Overall, I think that it's nice. I really like the white and the blue. I definitely think it looks Republic-y to me, New Republic-y, I guess I should say. The printed cockpit is nice, but we do get quite a few stickers in this set, which is kind of to be expected so that we have detail, but at the price point, you know, that's just pretty common. Again, like I said, I do like the engines in the back, and that's pretty much it for the E-Wing. Next up, we have Shin Hati's Starfighter, and I really like the coloring of this. As I mentioned before, I feel like they kind of shorted her starship so they both could fit. The wings are just very thin, and I know in the show they're thin too, but I just think they're like overly thin, just the same way that I thought the Mandalorian Fangfighter was overly thin as well. We do have some more stickering on the front. The cockpit is printed, thankfully, which is actually really cool and very unique. We've seen this kind of cockpit shape for a long time. Inside there is a sticker for a control panel, which looks really nice. We have like a singular engine in the front, which is pretty cool. And then the little foils on the wings, they look very nice as well. Again, I think this has like awesome coloring. I really like it. It's rounded as well. And you do have storage for her lightsaber in the back, which is super neat, as well as extra storage in the front. It's very surprising how much storage they gave you for the ship. It's funny to me, you can hide a minifigure inside this section. I put Morgan Elsbeth in. I don't know why it's so big. It's really, really nice. And then last thing is there's not really any landing gear. They give you some like round tiles to place the ship on, so it's not just straight on the Lego itself, but there is no landing gear compared to the E-Wing. And so when you look at them both together, the E-Wing is going to be a lot taller than the Starship. And so that's just something to kind of think about. I love the coloring on Shin Hati's Starship, but I feel like you can't help but like the E-Wing a little bit more because it just feels a little bit more fleshed out overall over Shin Hati's Starfighter. Even though the concept of it is cool, I would actually have liked to see this come out in its own set and be built out a little bit more. Overall, though, that was this review, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. It definitely is a really cool set. I really like the direction that LEGO is going with Star Wars by including 2 ships in one set. That's just something that we haven't gotten in a really long time, and we've gotten now 2 in 1 year, which is fantastic. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, I'll see y'all later. Bye.